the markings that we've made on this apple are actually indicative of segments of its form. So if we look at the center line here, it's very vertical because it's in the center of the form and it is basically aiming directly to us. And so when we draw a straight line in a drawing, that straight line does not define volume. It's quite flat, actually. In fact, the flattest lines that we can draw are straight lines, and specifically the flattest of flat are verticals and horizontals. So for instance, if we look at the horizontal line here of the background, and as we said, if we carry that line through, it goes through that point there, and if we come out on the other side, there we can see we have a very horizontal line there for the background line or the horizon line. And so what does that tell us? It tells us that that background wall is really facing us very directly. So as we said, if we have a cross contour that is really facing us, it might be very vertical like this. But notice the shape of the cross contour to the left. It's a curve, and it's a curve that is bulging outward, and that curve is what we say becoming the contour of the form. So if we had a pear in front of us instead of an apple, and that pear's contour was like this, the center cross contour vertically would still do this, but the ones as we moved across would slowly move away from vertical, and they would slowly become the contour of the form until they met the contour. The same is true if you look at the horizontal cross contours. They would curve around the object, and as they progressed downward, they would curve more and more until they finally just become the contour that they're moving towards. If we had instead a pear with a bumpy bottom, that curving contour might start nice and smooth up here where the pear is still very round. But as it progresses downward, it's going to start to become that bottom contour. And by the time we get to that very last one may in fact undulate quite a bit, inward and outward. And what we're going to start to feel are these ridges like this, and these valleys that curve the other direction. So if I fill some curves like this, and then I fill some curves and add some more like this, we're going to have some hills and valleys. But what happens when I start to add these inner contours and cross contours to the drawing? And notice how immediately we can take what looked like a very flat object, and with a few extra lines, we can make that object start to evoke the sense of 3 dimensions.